Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Barbershop BA. Yo, we are trying to get this thing together, and I think we're doing okay. I think we're going to make it. But let's do some intros. Let's start here, right here from my left.
It's your boy, Philip Morgan.
It's your boy, Larry Ewings.
Brian Murphy coming at you.
All right, so Brian, why don't you lead us off on what we're going to be doing today? We got all kinds of different stuff to talk about, so hope you guys can join with us. Let us know what you want to talk about. Don't forget to visit us on, where the hell we at?
Barbershopba.com.
Facebook,
Boom.
Twitter,
all that.
Instagram.
Our YouTube is pretty tight. If you haven't had a chance to check out our YouTube, we've got some pretty tight mixes on there, some nice clips. Larry's doing some yard work.
I do a pretty good job. My shirt was on, guys, so don't worry about it.
So yeah, so he kept it real PG for everyone's viewing pleasure.
You don't want the rated R version.
Yes, we got a range of topics, some heavy, some light. This week it's, all on the news, all on social media. The kind of big topic is what's happening in Charlottesville, Virginia. The tragedy, young woman got killed, and then just people going crazy about it, right? And not only just the tragedy itself, but how they feel like the government's responding, the president's responding, the press is responding. I mean, there's a million ways we could go with this. So, want to hear your thoughts. Want to hear how you're processing. I mean, people are feeling everything from angry to frightened to upset. What's going on? How are you dealing with this? And what do you think it means for our country? What do you think it means for where we're headed as a nation? A lot of people say, we thought we were way past all this stuff. Why are we back in the same spot again? So we want to hear from you. We said we were going to do a two-minute excerpt. 2-minute clip on what we were kind of taking away, just one nugget. There's some stories that are in the news. There's some stuff that's kind of behind the scenes. So we just kind of wanted to give everybody a chance. Charlottesville, what's going through your head? Who wants it first?
I'll jump in it, man. It's craziness. I think, I was saying earlier when I've been watching the TV, it's just been really depressing.
Yeah.
Really depressing to see the fact that, our world is going through so much turmoil right now. And we don't really have a proper representative in place that could actually address it and find a way to end it, And so I think it's going to be a lot of us working together, coming together with ideas, and hopefully with a lot of love and a lot of. There's a lot of people who are just hurt out there, and I think what this whole representation is that's going on. It's for those of you who never thought it existed. Here it is.
Yeah.
You can't escape it. It's right there. It's right in front of your face. Racism exists.
It's not one or two people.
Yeah, it's not one or two. And you can tell there's a lot of people who agree with that sentiment.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement here to say that we don't agree with that sentiment. And we appreciate diversity. And you know what? We don't devalue human beings because they look different, they're a different color, a different ethnicity, or anything like that. But it just shows you that it's real, it exists, and we got to do something about it.
Yeah, I like that. I took some time just now to I put in Google search, I just put Trump. And the first thing that comes up is top stories, and it says, what Trump understands about white identity politics. I voted for Trump, and I sorely regret it. That's from the New York Times. It's an article. And Donald Trump has no grasp of what it means to be president. Those are like three, CNN, New York Times, and The Economist. So three top media outlets, not just social media, but just media in general.
You probably won't find that on Fox News, though. They're probably saying,
Right.
Great job, he's standing firm.
Right. So, and one thing, in another search, it says, Republican senators strike back at Trump's war of words. And so, I think it's so scary is that it's been a war of words for so long, and now that I think even during the election process we started seeing some things become physical, right? Some people, I remember at the rally, there was an African American woman. He's like, "Get her out of here!" Back in the good old days, and she was getting pushed around. That was like the first sign. But I think you had mentioned it, when we spoke about this briefly earlier. Like those are the small telltale, the signs that people were ignoring. Like, oh, that's a one-off. Or that's a one-off here and there. And so, my words that I wrote down were, war of words, but it's becoming war of action now. And, what's our stance? This is what scares me is, what is our stance on the action part? We can talk all day about it, but when it comes down to the action, Are we going to be like those who decided to be peaceful about it and stand there and turn the cheek? And they literally got beat down in Charlottesville. You know, that Black Lives Matter movement. They stood in peace and they got beat down. Or are we going to take the action and be proactive about it and meet them face to face, fist for fist, blow to blow? And you know, I think we learned in war, people die. You know, there was a casualty at that rally, and you know, the number can only go up from there, and that's a scary part of it. So, you know, I think that's why people really need to take it seriously, like where you stand, because where you stand, that you are going to be called to action at some point.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do when the action comes to you, pretty much?
Yeah. I also think it's part of, it's not just one set of people need to stand up. Everybody needs to stand up. So whether you're spiritual or not, this is a time where you need to stand up. So churches, you need to rise up and stand up for what's right. Groups that are helping the community need to stand up. And this is completely a race thing too, right? There are people, man. How am I gonna say it? There's some white folks out there, and hey, look, I associate with that. I'm half white. I'm half Chinese. You guys stand up and say something. If you know what's not right, it's time to recognize that when you dehumanize somebody else, you devalue somebody else, you might as well just murder that person because they're not of worth.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that's not the right way to live. We know that's not the right thing to do. It's time for us just to not only to use our voices, but to start putting our hands and feet and start doing something and put stuff into motion. I'm not saying to go back and hate somebody else. We definitely need to come together and find some creative ways and some recognizable ways to let the opposition know that we're here, we're not going to stand for it, and we're going to be a movement against that.
Yeah, I mean, my head is still all over the place. Two things I think are grabbing me. One, I think we got to realize that America is in the midst of an identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is change is coming, and I mean, you just look at the nature of the demographics of the country. I think in another 20 years, just numerically, white America will be the numerical minority. And all of that tension that's been, I mean, the country has been where they have been the majority for 400 something years. And so all the dynamics of other people groups, other perspectives, that is causing this kind of tipping point, this boiling point. And so how we live through this, how we work through this, and some of the stuff that's been in the country since its inception is going to come up because we're having this new reality that we're all facing. And so to me, that's just to understand. I understand why people are fearful about losing power. People are questioning what it means to now have a voice because they think, we're ready to stand up or we got the numbers or whatever. So you got these conflicts built in. To me, the question is going to be, and to me, this is where it's a faith thing, not just an American thing.
Right.
That I hope that people who know God, believe in God, trust in God, first of all, realize that anytime we see something that's about hate and it's about evil and it's about killing or destroying other people, there's something spiritual going on in the background.
Yeah.
Bible verse in the Bible says we don't really fight against flesh and blood. I see these people out here, but to me there is something behind the scenes that's really driving their thoughts and their behavior. And so I'm not ignoring that. I'm not condoning it. But I'm saying as a spiritual person, I realize there's something deeper that I also got to be aware of.
Right.
And so then how do I respond? And to me, that's the question. And I'm hopeful that this, particularly the younger generation, right, who just didn't grow up as indoctrinated in hate and division and all this stuff, that is open to other people, other views, other perspectives, respect other people from different cultures, that's where we kind of put an anchor for the new American identity that's about respect and valuing all life, all perspective, all backgrounds, all cultures. If we do that, and again, I think it's the young people leading that charge in a lot of ways because they don't have as much baggage. If they set the tone, then I think we navigate through this process and come out better regardless of who's in the White House or the Blue House or any other house. It's got to be the people doing it because we respect and love each other. And the government reflects what we demand.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to touch point, just to kind of your identity crisis was spot on. I looked up the definition of identity crisis, and it's a period of uncertainty and confusion in which a person's sense of identity becomes insecure, typically due to a change in their expected aims or role in society. So I think you hit it right on with everything that's going on. Over the years, the past 10 years, you can see kind of the shift, and yeah, it's crazy that we're at this point. And one thing I'm a little fearful of is that this whole thing with North Korea, because if you think about adversity bringing a nation together, if we're on the brink of possible war, everyone comes together all of a sudden. Well, you get two sides, it's pro-war, not pro-war, but you get a lot of people joining together for a bigger cause, and then, it's scary. It's a scary thought.
Nothing distracts from social issues like a war.
Right.
That's a tactic, right? And let's get a national issue so we can stop.
Check our Twitter feed. That's going on.
Yeah, man. That's.
How do you always get the Twitter comment? I mean, you always get that.
They're always so good.
It's like that. That's why I'm gonna tweet that. Son of a.
Yeah, man. So we just want to want to pray for those people that got hurt. Pray for the lady and her family that lost her life.
Mm-hmm.
There's no easy answers. We said that we want to kind of dive into it, but there's so much to say. People, we heard the comments, right? Some people think this is President Trump that's caused it. Some people say that he just fanned it, but he didn't cause it. We could get into all that, but it's there's so many different avenues. To me, that's one of those things that we got to have more of a face-to-face, because we want to hear people's responses as well as what we think. So, tell us what you're thinking. Tell us how you're processing it. Tell us, what you're dealing with, and we'll shoot some comments back. And again, to me, we're better when we do it together. And my heart goes out for all the people. I think about my parents, my older brothers and sisters, people who, this is what they dealt with when they were little kids and thought we were past this. Right. And just the pain of seeing it coming back to the front page, to the evening news with so much force. Man, it's just heartbreaking. I mean, it feels like we're going back 50 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people's frustration level is so high. But I'm wrestling with, how do I respond to that? How do I resist that, but in a way that still doesn't have me sacrifice my values and my morals as a person of God? Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. There are so many solutions that we need to come up with, and you're probably asking us, what do you guys think? But if we're for sure, there's one thing that you guys can do is every day that you go out there and you live your life, appreciate the people that are around you, love on the people around you, and that means looking at everybody the same.
Right.
And that's treating everybody the same. Treat someone else as you would want to treat yourself, or you would want to be treated. And I think that's one of the main things that you have to. Every day you have to intently, purposely go out there and love on the people, not only that you work with, when you're hanging out in the supermarket, when you're playing ball on the court, or wherever you're at, when you're interacting with people, when you're having those conversations. You just gotta love on people, man. And find a way to build that relationship, because it really is all about relationships and us, just kind of recognizing that we're all in this together.
Right.
And we're not here to tear each other down.
Right.
I think, last thing I'll just say on that is I think we also got to maybe take a little effort to step into somebody else's shoes, right?
Yeah.
It's race issues, it's homelessness issues, it's, lack of education, it's inner city. I can live my life and not give two craps about somebody who's in a situation that I've avoided or that I was blessed enough not to be born into. And so I think when we start to respect other people, when we start to empathize with other people, it's because I went out of my way to try to walk in your shoes. Yeah. And then I see your pain, I see your perspective, and that changes my perspective because I got a little glimpse of what your reality is. And I think that's what we got to do in order to really learn how to love each other better.
Yeah, something that I'm going to commit to, in light of all this is, one thing I not regret, but I wish that I had my grandparents around on my father's side a lot longer to learn from them firsthand, because my grandfather grew up in Georgia, and I just would like to hear his firsthand account of what how things went down. But we took history in school, but it was school's version of history, right? As adults, we have access to all this. Endless amounts of files and documents and what it was like. So I'm going to take myself on a personal history lesson really you know, deep dive into it, because like you said, I feel like it feels like people are going back in the time to what it used to be like, but it's hard to feel that same feeling if you don't know what it was like. So that's gonna be my personal thing I'm gonna do to really you know, get a feel of the whole situation.
Hey guys, you know what? And I googled two craps, and what that is? It's literally two pieces of poop right next to each other, guys. So
And they both suck.
and they both suck, and they both smell. So don't go there.
Did I say that?
You did. But I thought you were gonna say two.
Yeah.
Explicitives with that. I prefer that, but
Google that.
Google that.
See what you get.